Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus and see how this particular phone holds up in the later part of 2023. Now, I will definitely tell you, for every single person watching this, I wouldn't really recommend buying this phone anymore. I wouldn't really recommend using it, but it's still fun to kind of look at this type of device and see how it's been holding up and see how it looks like so far. Now, with the outside, the S9 Plus I think is still like a decent looking phone. It was just a bigger model of what you were getting before on like the S9. So it had that 6.2 inch Super AMOLED display on the front, and it was, 1440p, so a fairly high resolution, and it's a fairly good looking panel. I still think this thing looks very good. I don't really have that much to complain about from a display perspective, and I think that's a really cool thing going on for this particular device. Like, it still looks very good and very sharp. You're getting a little bit of a bezel at the top and bottom. And I remember when the Galaxy S8 came out, I was thinking to myself, I don't know how phones can look better than this thing. And they ended up doing that. And even when the S9 came out and the S9 Plus, I was thinking the same thing too. On the bottom, you have the USB Type-C port, headphone jack, and micro SD card slot, which is really good I/O to have. Having a phone like this with this type of, port selection is very, very cool. And that's something that I actually look forward to, of having a phone like this with that type of capability, which is very awesome. So that right there in and of itself, again, is a super cool thing. And that might be like one of the only advantages of buying a phone like this, is the fact that it does have, it has, amazing throughput of having that, micro SD card slot, USB Type-C, and headphone jack. On the backside, standard glass back, dual camera setup, fingerprint sensor, wireless charging, lots of good stuff going on here. But I will tell you, the difference between an S9 Plus and the S10 Plus was drastic, and the S10 Plus was a substantially better phone in almost every single way. So that kind of covers it up on the outside. Software-wise, this is the biggest thing that's going on with this device, and the main reason why I wouldn't recommend buying it. It is already like a fairly outdated device in every single way, and that's just kind of what happens when you're getting a device like this. It's already outdated. It's been outdated for so many years. And because of that, even though it did stop at like One UI 2.5, not like a super old version of Android, but 3 years behind, you are getting a device that's kind of, pretty much outdated when it comes down to it. So I wouldn't really recommend buying a device like this if it's already outdated. And that's kind of what's going on here. Like, you're getting a phone that's already kind of, on its last leg in terms of software. And I wouldn't really recommend people to buy this phone from that perspective, because you don't want to buy a phone that's already outdated. So keep that in mind. It is what it is, but that's kind of what I'd, kind of think about from that perspective too. In terms of performance, this device also really isn't that great on the performance side either anymore. It had that Snapdragon 845 chipset with 6 gigs of RAM on the top tier models, but 4 gigs of RAM on the base models. And once again, this is a device that is going to be giving you pretty lackluster performance in this day and age, especially when compared to like the latest and greatest phones. You're getting some really good quality phones nowadays with some really good capability. And with a device like the iPhone, 15s, with the Galaxy S23s, with the Pixel 8s, these are very solid performing phones. This one is fairly slow, and the fact that we're at the end of this year, we've had all these phones come out, and this thing definitely has shown its age for sure, and I really wouldn't recommend buying this phone from that perspective. So overall, I'll tell you, the Galaxy S9 Plus, it was an interesting phone when it first came out. It still has its quirks and features. I just wouldn't really recommend buying this phone anymore because it's already kind of outdated. So keep that in mind. I think there's still a lot of capability and a lot of quality for buying, some Samsung phones that are kind of more current. And this one, though, I would not recommend buying at all, but it's still a very impactful phone when it first came out. So that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.